Hello everyone, welcome back to another deck idea brought to you by Double Sleeved. Today we're covering the new green-yellow multicolor leader from OP03. It is none other than Arlong. An interesting leader. We've got a brand new color combination of green and yellow. Pretty standard, being at 4 life, 5,000 power. And we've got a leader effect that's very reminiscent of the OP01 Doffy leader. In that you've got a Don ×2 when attacking pay 1 effect. So we get to play up to 1 character card with a cost of 4 or less with trigger from your hand. So a lot of similarities between the two, but instead of playing off the top of the deck, we're going to be playing from our hand, just with the requirement that it does have trigger. Being a part yellow deck, we've got a lot of great cards with the trigger effect, which we can definitely utilize with this leader. But there's no doubt that as we start getting more sets as well, there will be a more pool, or a bigger pool of green and yellow cards with the trigger effect. So we could see this leader come back a couple of sets down the line. Moving into the deck, we start off with Strucin. It's a 1-drop, 1000 power, 2k counter. On play, you may trash 1 card with trigger from your hand, which we have plenty of, and KO up to 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 1. Doesn't come up often, but it's a 2k counter, which is pretty good. Charlotte Brûlée, it's a 3-cost 1k, 1000 counter, and it's a blocker. We've got a really powerful trigger here of just being able to play it if we hit it off life and getting that blocker. Then we've got the Charlotte Pudding. We're definitely running a lot of yellow to utilize the trigger effects that yellow has, and a lot of them fit into that Big Mom Pirates category. So we've got the Searcher for the deck, 1-drop 2k, it's got 1k counter, which is great for a Searcher. We look at the top 4 for a Big Mom Pirate, other than Charlotte Pudding, so it can't grab itself or other characters with the same name, or up to 1 Sanji added to hand. Sanji being a 2-drop 3000 power 2k counter. And we've got a pretty powerful effect on Sanji. It's a Don ×2 when attacking. You may add the top or bottom card of your life to your hand, and then you add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to your life. So it's a +1 to hand. We get to replace the life that we take and attack for 5k. And then we've got Charlotte Pudding, another 2-drop 3k. This is again another 2k counter. On play, look at up to 1 life card from the top of your or your opponent's life area and put it at the top or bottom of your life area. So you can mess around with either your life or your opponent's just to see what their next card might be, if it's a trigger that you don't want them to have and things like that. But having the 2k available is just really good. Unfortunately, you can't grab this off the Searcher because it is a Charlotte Pudding. Then we've got Killer. This is a 3-cost 3k, 1k counter. On play, KO up to 1 of your opponent's rested characters with a cost of 3 or less. And we've got the trigger to play this card as well. So it's going to be really good early on to KO some of our opponent's characters, especially those 3 or less, which our opponent's going to try and set up that early game with. And we've just got an out to play it off our leader effect, get the body on the field and KO something. Then we've got Karubi. This is a 4-cost 3k, 1k counter. And on play, if your leader has the East Blue type, rest up to 1 of your opponent's characters. So it doesn't matter what the cost is for that character. We can rest blockers and things like that, and then combine it with some of our KO effects as well. It can be really powerful. And again, we've got the trigger to play this card. So we can use it off our leader effect, and if we hit this off life, then we can rest 1 of our opponent's characters. Then we've got Chew. Similar to the Karubi, it's a 4-cost, 3k, 1k counter, and this is an on-play KO up to 1 of your opponent's rested characters with a cost of 4 or less. So a little bit more powerful than the Killer, but both of them still pretty good, and we've got the trigger to be able to play this, so we can use it off our leader effect. Next, we've got the 3-cost, 5k yellow skillless King Buam. We do have a trigger effect on this, so it can be played off our leader effect, and that's generally how you want to be playing this card. The trigger for this card, you have to trash the top or bottom card of your life to play it, so it's a pretty heavy cost, but just being able to play this off our leader effect and get a 5k skillless is pretty good. And then we've got the Charlotte Perospero, another 3-cost 5k. This one has an on KO effect. You get to look at the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Big Mom Pirates type card, add it to your hand, and then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. So it does kind of deter our opponent from wanting to KO this card, since we do get a lot of value from it. We're running a lot of Big Mum Pirates in this deck, so you'd want to hope that you do hit one of those targets. And then the trigger, so you may discard one card from your hand to play this, and since it has the trigger, it is playable off our leader, as well as the next card, which is Charlotte Cracker. 4 cost, 5k, we've got a 1k counter, and this is a Don ×1. While you have less life than your opponent, this character gains double attack and plus 1000 power. Being a multicolor leader, we do start the game 1 life behind our opponent, so this is going to be a really useful card just to be able to constantly have that double attack and that 1000 power. And it does get that 1k on both players' turns, so keep that in mind as well, that on your opponent's turn, while you have less life, this does sit as a 6k if you've got the Don underneath. The trigger effect, again, discard a card, play it from hand, so it is playable off our leader as well. Similar to the Charlotte Smoothie, this is a 4 cost, 5000 power, 1k counter. When attacking, you may add 1 card from the top or bottom of your life to your hand, and then this character gains plus 2000 power during the battle. Very useful if you're going for game with this card, or you just really need to put pressure on your opponent and try and close out that turn. You're not too concerned about your life, but you don't want to be doing this one willy-nilly. We've got the trigger effect, playable off our leader, or if it gets hit off the life, you may discard a card and then play it. Moving into one of the other green cards that we have within the deck, there's not many, we do run quite a bit of yellow. It's the character Krieg. It's a 6 cost, 7k. On play, you may trash 1 card from your hand, KO up to 2 of your opponent's rested characters with a cost of 4 or less. Again, a lot of value with cards like Karubi, being able to rest anything. And then we can play the Krieg and KO those 4 or less. And then we've got a Don ×1. This character gains double attack. So we can attack for 8k, double attack, really powerful. And then some of our higher cost removal for the deck, we've got the Charlotte Katakuri. It's an 8 cost, 8k. On play, put up to 1 character with a cost of 8 or less on the top or bottom of the owner's life area face up. So we can put our cards into our life to regain a life and get our triggers again, or we can remove one of our opponent's cards that's 8 or less and put it into their life. They do gain an extra life, but we have 1 less threat on the field to have to worry about, and that could just give us the board advantage that we need to win the game. And then we've got a really powerful green event card in Punk Gibson. We've had this card for a while, being a event card from OP01. But for those that don't know, it's a 2 cost event card. Counter, your leader or up to 1 of your characters gains plus 4000 power for the battle, and then rest up to 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less. Again, useful with the Krieg if we're going to be playing it on the following turn. And then we've got the trigger, rest up to 1 of your opponent's characters. So really powerful to stop our opponent's kill turn if we happen to hit this card off the trigger, or the Karubi off the trigger as well, just to be able to disrupt our opponent's attackers. But we've got a lot of really powerful trigger cards within this deck, and I'm sure as we start getting more green and yellow trigger cards as well, this leader will definitely be able to creep back in at a local level, and it'll be interesting to see where it finds its place at high scale events. But that's it for today's video. If you do enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe. Let me know what you think of Arlong, whether you'll pick this deck up and give it a try, or if you've got your eyes on some other yellow decks that might just be a little bit more powerful. But until then, we'll see you next time.